So to give a little more background and to help you understand the reasoning for trying to pass the 13th Amendment before the war, we have to think back to the end of the war. The end of the war was coming um, really for months and years. The people slowly began to realize the North was destined to win. There was no other way around it. They had the superior resources and manpower. They were going to win. And they recognized that there were going to be different things happening in the North and South after the war ended. If the goal was to bring the South back into the Union, they a lot of people realized they couldn't do it with slavery still intact. So they needed to get it done before the end of the war. They needed to finalize that this is a war about ending slavery. So the 13th Amendment will accomplish that, and that's what you kind of got the sense of in those Lincoln clips. That Lincoln and Thaddeus Stevens and others really wanted to get it done before the war, so there wouldn't be that issue still lingering after the war was over and after the fighting had stopped. So, 13th Amendment simply says that its full text is only a few sentences long. It's that slavery nor involuntary servitude, except for as punishment for a crime, um, it should not exist within the United States or any place within their jurisdiction. No U.S. territories or states will ever have slavery again, and Congress can pass laws to enforce this. Now, this isn't just a law that can be repealed, this is an amendment to the Constitution. The only thing that can appeal an amendment to the Constitution is another amendment to the Constitution. These are very hard to pass. They require a two-thirds majority in each House of Congress, and then most of the states to ratify them as well. So in the videos, Lincoln knew that he would need two southern states at least to ratify this, even after all the northern states did. And he was able to do that with some political maneuvering, but it was very important that this was passed and slavery was forever abolished in the United States. So we talked about the Emancipation Proclamation. It didn't abolish slavery everywhere. It freed slaves in the South, in the rebelling southern states, but not in the northern states that still had it or in the northern controlled territories. This does. This just ends it for everybody. And it's coming right at the end of the war. They pass it in January. The war doesn't end till April. So it's not ratified until the end of the year, much later, but it is at that point a foregone conclusion. So slavery's done with the 13th Amendment in 1865. Um, this peculiar institution, this evil institution, is now gone. It does not solve problems that have arisen from slavery. Racism, as we'll see, especially in Reconstruction, but going up until today, is prevalent in this country. But slavery is done with the 13th Amendment. After this bloody war was fought and needed and required to end it, it's finally over there. But now, for a lot of people, the next few years in this country is going to be very important because it's determine the future of the country as it's put back together, as it loses slavery once and for all. What's it going to look like? So Lincoln has plans. Lincoln just begins his new term at the beginning of 1865. He was reelected in 1864, and he's president for a very short time before his assassination. So whatever plans Lincoln had for Reconstruction, and he had been preparing for putting the country back together for a long time as well. He knew the first step was to abolish slavery, but then that wasn't going to make everything all perfect right away. It was going to cause its own problems in and of itself, and he was ready for that. But he never got a chance to act on it because just 5 days after South's surrender at Appomattox Courthouse, Lincoln is assassinated while going to the theater. And he's assassinated by a northern actor but a southern sympathizer, John Wilkes Booth, who shot Lincoln in the back of the head. This is part of a wider conspiracy to assassinate not just Lincoln, but Vice President Andrew Johnson and a few others. All of those attempts failed or never took place. Lincoln did. Wilkes Booth ran away but was killed in a shootout at a warehouse. And all the other conspirator members were captured and hung. So this is a huge blow to the nation. Whatever plans Lincoln had never came to fruition. Reconstruction would be left to other people. Um, we don't know how different it could have been if Lincoln had survived. He had 4 more years where he could have been in charge and guided this nation. We don't know where it would have gone. We do know that Andrew Johnson became president, and as we'll talk about on Monday, he was much less equipped, prepared to do things that than what many people hoped. Andrew Johnson, interesting figure, was a Democrat and a Southerner, chosen to be Lincoln's vice president to try to help reunite this nation and heal some divides um, going into 1865. So he wasn't Lincoln's vice president the first term, just the second term. A Southerner who stayed with the North during the war, thought to be a good person to heal that divide, but now he's completely in charge, and it does not go as the Republican Party and many people who want a harder view of construction would have liked. So just to set the stage, and we'll talk more about this Monday, what the North and the South are looking like at this point. The North has lost more soldiers in the war. It's true, but their land and their cities and their industries are almost completely untouched. There's only a few instances where the North was invaded and no major cities were attacked. So they come out of the war almost unscathed in terms of their livelihoods that are unchanged. Industry is growing, so more people can have jobs. They do have the problem of employing now these former servitors, but they take a lot of the jobs that the women took in the war. So women go back to their traditional roles. They don't get equal treatment after the war as they experienced maybe some opportunities during the war, but that doesn't last. Um, but for the most part, North goes back to pretty much the same way of life, and they actually start to prosper a little bit more. The South, on the other hand, their entire way of life, their dependence on slaves has been taken away from them. Their farms and their cities and whatever small industries they did have been destroyed. The Confederate um, government is no longer around to pay its debts to the people, so people are living in poverty. And now all of a sudden, there's 4 million new citizens who were once slaves, but now they're citizens, and they need to find work and shelter and places to live. So where are they going to find that? That's going to be a problem for the South too. So as you can see, it's kind of unequal the way they come out of this war, and it's going to be point of contention as we go forward into Reconstruction. We will learn about that Monday, maybe a little bit on Tuesday if we don't have enough time. So have a great day and great weekend here. Well, like I said, one more week of school. If you have questions on the 13th Amendment or Lincoln's assassination, anything that needs cleared up, come see me during office hours. Talk to you guys later.